See you, Anne. Nice to see you, Beatrice. Nice to see you, everybody. How you doing? I would like to hear people's expectations on succession planning. Today's expectations with no order of unmute yourself. Let's see here what people are expecting from this webinar, what we hope to take away, what you hope to contribute, what brings you here. I'm sure all of us are here to learn, but what else? Is it the CPD points that we are all now chasing? The year is almost over. We almost we all now know how to navigate ourselves as individuals, families, at the workplace around the pandemic. I'm sure you've written beautiful policies around to work, return to work guidelines and stuff like that, things that were disturbing us a couple of months ago. Everybody has polished it up. So expectations, please. Unmute yourselves. You can also put it in the chat group. Looking forward to a great session. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So glad to see you, Mwalimu, again. Nice to see you again, Simon, Diana. Unmute yourself. Anne, what are your expectations for today?
I think it's the A to Z of succession planning, because I don't think there's a lot, or okay, at least not in my experience, that there's a lot talk about succession planning. Everybody's like, so we'll be here for whatever, and we are just growing, and we'll just go to the next level when that time comes, but not really being involved in okay, so if this person moves on, how are we going to fill that space? What are we thinking? You know, things like that. So, and especially if you're in a small organization or where everybody is young, you know, the 25s and the 24s, so we have 30 more years. You're not going anywhere. So it's okay. We'll think about that when people get to 50. But they forget that, you know, other things happen, other situations come on, and that affect that plan of yours of waiting until you're 50. So.
Very true, very true. I must say that everybody expects to have a very it's almost given that I start off as a HR assistant, then the next thing I'll move on is to HR officer, the next one manager, the next director. You know, it doesn't go like that. I mean, it could go like that, but is that how you want it to go? And is that how you want to drive your business? At your place of work, is that a natural way of succession planning, career progression? And yeah, the 3-part module will really give us an idea and also hone our experience of implementing it at a strategic level for us to know that we're able to do that. I expect to know how to introduce this conversation to management. Very well, Christine. I like that. Yeah. I can't wait to know how I will succeed a group of people who don't want to leave. Yeah, it's not who don't want to leave. Are they almost nearing retirement? Sony, thank you. Good morning. I'm looking to understand and how to identify the next leaders in my organization. Very good. Expectation, succession planning, it's a sense of entitlement. How do we deal with that? Yeah, very true. I mean, I'm here. I've been here. I mean, why would you pass me up for promotion? And I have worked diligently. I'm in the talent pool. I have been identified as the blue eye boy, red eye girl in the corner offices, and it's my time. Yeah. And as Anne said, what do we do about organizations which are very lean? There is not a lot of space. The HR director is 40 years. You are, and you are 38. You are 2 years and nobody is going anywhere. It's a good organization. And what do you do about all that? Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Mine are, what does succession policy entail? Good. How do you buy in from the board level? Extremely good. How do you make leaders get comfortable in discussing succession planning? Many feel insecure and it is not convinced. Yeah, very true. Yeah, succession planning. Nobody just ever gets it right. Looking forward to how to handle succession planning, mainly at directors level. Yeah. Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, I think at the C-suite level, we don't see a lot happening there. You have mentioned a talent pool, perhaps also how to hear these differs from succession planning. Yeah, very true. We'll just be able to do that. Yeah, so keep them coming. I think that is very important for us to be able to do so. So we can begin as all those expectations. I'll keep looking at them. Maybe Anne, you can also help me look at them as they come, and if anything that is really important, then you can let me know. So allow me to share my screen so that we go in a systematic way. Don't worry about the notes. The notes will be there in the CHRP platform. Look at them. You can always refer to them. Let's keep the conversation going. Unmute yourself if you have experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly of HR, as I like to call it sometimes. And yeah, so let's see what happens there. Thank you. Let me know when you can see my screen. Is it there?
Put it on slideshow. Thank you.
Great. You can see it. Can you see it? Okay, so there we go. Succession planning. So let me put a challenge out to you this morning. Where are you? And just think through at your current workplace, whether you're in consultancy, whether you're in business, if you are to leave, is there a plan for your position? If you are to leave today and say, well, I'm leaving, I found something else that is great, it's been real, what would the organization say? Would they say, oh, you're leaving, Catherine? No, you can't leave. We need to talk, and all along, maybe you've been asking them, oh, what's my plan in this organization? How do I look into it? Can we discuss another 5 years from now? How does it look and stuff like that? Anybody? Or you would just go and say, that's it. I'm done. I'm going. Anybody? You'd be happy to go? Would there be continuity in that position? Are we mentoring? Are we coaching? Are we doing things right for your position? For your position, whether it's a junior position, whether it's a senior position, if you were to leave today and you've served notice and everything, what would happen? Would they recruit? Would they fill the void before they get there? How would they feel? Anyone? Without any order? Anyone? Please talk to me.
Okay, let me just go because it seems no one wants to. I think it's shocking to be told what happens if you are the one to leave. So my name is Masha Mushiri. I work at Britannia Foods Limited, the makers of Britannia biscuits. We are a lean organization. I hold the position of HR manager. I do have a HR officer. If I was to leave, I think my HR officer would be able to sit in for a while, but what would be the problem is perhaps she won't be board ready. That would intimidate her. And I think it's an eye-opener to be in this session that we need to, I need to start preparing her to be able to be confident in that space.
Good, yeah.
So probably they would hire.
Probably they would hire. Okay, I'm glad it's an eye opener. If we are not even talking about, we've not even gotten to talk about the CEO. We are talking about you if you were to leave. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, in terms of lean organization, I have one more person working with me. You don't think that they are ready, then the challenge to you would, how are you going to make them ready? And we know that in organizations, we have people, I mean, if you work in a real structured organization, and I'm not saying it could also be very loose in terms of how you do it. We have people who are ready now. We all know, isn't it? There are people who are ready in 1 year. There are people who are ready in 2 years, and there are people who are ready in 5 years. Those kind of plans is what we want to discuss now. So another person, if you are to leave now, it's been real. See you in another lifetime. I might come back in 5 years when you get your act together. I've asked you guys to get your act together. You're not getting it. I have found somewhere else that looks like they've got their act together. Anybody else? If you were to leave today, please share with us. Would it be smooth? Would it be like, well, she did a remarkable job, she's left a good legacy, you've institutionalized the policies, the procedures, and it's business as usual. You would be missed, no doubt about it, if you are good talent, if you related well with people, and it would be fine. Because the person or the people that you've been mentoring, you've been coaching, they would be ready. If you were to leave today, would we struggle? Anyone? Please share.
I think first you say you're leaving, they will want to counter offer.
Yeah, haha,
and
good.
if they, and chances are they will not counter offer, they won't offer as much as maybe someone is going, wherever someone is going to. And then they will, I guess the next thing they will do is wait for the minute you leave the door and put an ad. Some people do, because in some organizations, you're the only one. So what is the next best thing? They either counter offer or they put an ad out as soon as humanly possible. They want you to stay maybe, or they will give you terms where you stay part-time before you really transition out while they look for someone to replace you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe if it's again lean organizations where you are the only HR person pushing it out and you come and say, well, I am going to be leaving now. Either they give you a counter offer, and sometimes you have this offer where maybe it's 2 times the pay. Will they be able to afford you? Sometimes they will not be able to afford you. Sometimes, yes, they'll be able to afford you, and then whatever. But what happens? Oh, she's looking. How do we trust her to stay and stuff like that? All those things start coming up, And if that's the only, if that's that one position in the organization, because we are lean, what are we going to do about lean organizations with only one position and it's a critical position? Have you ever thought about it? Really, how do we drive the business to make sure that that is fine? Because what we want to talk about succession planning today is the area of critical positions in your organization. Have you mapped up critical positions in your organization? And which are those critical positions? Have you told these people you're a critical, you hold a critical role in this organization? If you were to leave, what are the plans around it? Whom are we looking around that can do it? It might not even be from the same department, but is it someone that in the same job families and you can do that? I also see a lot of someone who's very valuable, who has left an organization, and people come and say, you know what, I think we should split this position into 3. How many people do that? How many people have been victims of those? Let's split this position into 3 or into 2. It used to pay 400K, so we do 200, and we get 2 people because work is a lot and stuff. Is that commendable? Is that in the area of OD? Is it good for the organization? Do you think it's good for the organization?
Can I contribute again?
Yeah.
So when it comes to a critical person leaving, and what I'm seeing more of is management wanting to hire at a lower level. So you bring in talent that is not quite at the level of the person leaving, so that what is called cost. I don't like saying cost cutting, cost management. So the thing that I'm seeing more of is bring in somebody, but bring in somebody cheaper. Not really split the role, but it's more of the money or what they're willing to take. So you won't hire at the same level. You will hire at a lower level and then train.
train and whatever. So you take the risk of training upwards, until the position. It just means that maybe you've got more work as an organization to get someone to that level. You're also trying to manage your costs and those guys. Is it good? Is it bad? If I come and hear the person who left was being paid 100K, then you've offered me 70K. Well, I already took the job. Would that make me feel bad and stuff like that? Are we looking internally to be able to do that and stuff like that? So let me flip the card and say, if you are head of the organization, whether you call him a managing, whether you call him or her, whether you call them, let's call them, whether you call them MD, CEO, group CEO, all those president and whatever, what would happen to the organization? Would the board chair come and start working there for a week before you guys hire? Is there a position, or would you be promoted? Would they promote you and say, you've been waiting, we think you will make a fantastic CEO? Or you would be part of the hiring process and you don't even put your CV in the hat, in the ring? What would happen if your CEO was to leave today? They resign, they're happy, that's it, it's a wrap, I'm going. And they even give you 3 months notice, or even 6. Do you have a plan?
Hello, can I say something?
Yeah, hi, who's on the line?
Hi, my name is Lona.
Hi, Lona.
And currently not working, but I'm seeking for work, but I would like to chime in, say something about it. So about a greater position leaving, I've worked in an organization where the financial controller left. It was a branch of like 4 branches, and the whole department fell. So I can say that at that point, I was just an HR assistant. So there was really no plan of how it was going to be succeeded. So the whole department fell for some time. There was nothing happening. So I can say that there was lack of planning. So that's what happened. The department was just closed down. Yeah.
Wow, that's very unfortunate, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes,
Business not as usual and stuff and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it happens. An entire organization would actually just collapse because the MD has left, and people just thinking, well, Catherine has left, this organization will never be the same. How do we just build our own brand management as individuals, but also building the brand for that organization? And sometimes we say people buy because of the person. You get what I mean? I'm buying because I trust Catherine. If Catherine moves to another organization, I will follow her and stuff like that. But we really want to look at the knuckles of HR and how do we do succession planning. So tomorrow, when you go to your office on Monday, I want you to look at your HR manual and see whether you have succession policy as a standalone policy, or it's within training, it's nicked in recruitment, it's career progression and stuff like that. How many of us in this webinar, and we are 61, have a standalone succession planning deliberately put there in the whatever, and we actually look at it every day in terms of manpower planning? When new products and services are being introduced in the organization, we are ready, everybody understands what it is. Anyone? Standalone? Standalone? Anyone? Or we can't even remember when we looked at the HR manual. We know it's off head, and we know page 40 we'll talk about this, we'll talk about performance planning. And now I know everyone is around manpower planning, performance planning, especially if your financial year ends in December. So everybody is busy trying to do that anyway. So if you don't have a succession planning policy in your organization, like someone, yes, Beatrice.
My name is Freda.
Oh, Freda.
In regards to that,
Yeah.
We have one in place, and this is running with what I had said in my comments. Like 2 years ago, our CEO fell sick, and we realized we had a problem. And with him falling sick, he was away for a month, which, you know, it was so abrupt. You never decide when someone will fall sick. It was abrupt. So we had to think on our feet, and this is how we started our succession planning. So with that, we have a CEO in waiting, and even with the CEO in waiting, we still have one after that in waiting. So that helps with the CEO bit. So our succession planning started then. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but at least it is something we know we have backup for, especially high level roles. At least that is how we started. So it might not be perfect. That's why this training is amazing for me, but at least we have something that has started.
Fantastic. Yeah. So it came as the business was hit by the CEO getting sick, and you were you felt exposed, and in terms of the exposure, what happens? So sometimes, and let me just tell you, let me just stop here. If this crisis will not teach us anything. This crisis of Corona, we have great business continuity plans. Some of us had them, some did not have them. If we cannot get out stronger and we're not going to learn out of it, we will have missed real big, valuable lessons for ourselves as individuals and also as organizations. And I'm sure now things are almost back to normal. What are we doing at our workplaces? How we continually engaging with each other? What have we learned? What have we adjusted? We've adjusted many things, leave the physical spaces, but what have you adjusted in terms of your manpower and your manpower planning? Maybe you had to retrench. Maybe you had to, retrench or let people go. And how is it going now? You are lean, and people are people working harder? Have you started recruiting again? Are you stretching people? Is there a lot of pressure? So in terms of, again, it comes to, if now people are feeling the pressure and I want to leave now, what happens? That is the next crisis that HR is going to go into. People are working long hours. People are working remotely, maybe not, depending on the industry that you are in, but the pressure is now real and people will start looking out. And also want you to look at data. If you're collecting data in your organization, look at every 5 years. And I've said this before, and you will, sorry if I start sounding like a broken record, is that after every 5 years, people start getting jittery. You've done your 10,000 hours. You've become an expert in what you're doing. You want to see what is the next thing big for me. You go to your line manager and say, well, I've been here for 5 years. It's really been great. I have learned this. This is what I have been able to achieve. I think I desire to do more. I want to get more challenges. I want to go into a bigger role. I want more money. And they end there. And then we say, oh, well, yeah, we'll give you more projects, we'll do this. But there's really no clear cut. You're just giving them one more role or something like that. Maybe, yes, if there's a position, you can promote them if they're great and there's it's all transparent and it's fair. But many people, after 5 years, they'll start leaving you. And that 5 year, you must start planning early for people to be able to stay in your business, especially if you're people-centric. But unfortunately, again, we'll talk about lean organizations. They can only be one director of HR, and that director is not going anywhere, and we are all happy. How does the HR manager feel around being in that position for 10 years, and the HR director is there again for 10 years, we are all whatever working very happy and stuff like that. But we start getting the fatigue. Am I going to look out? Do I stay here? It's a great place to work. What can you do as HR to really spice up people's careers so they are ready for the next big thing? So are you making them ready to be the next big quality assurance person? Are you getting them ready to be the next production manager, if they like that? Are you getting them ready to be the person to go to in terms of coaching in this organization? Things like that that really add flavor to their careers, not just, well, your HR, that's it. Your finance, that's it. What else can you do really to make sure that they're adding an extra skill? And in this, the pandemic, what skills have you equipped your people in terms of working under pressure? What do you see? Have you been able to multitask? What happened to your drivers? What happens to your receptionists? What happened to your admin people who didn't have a lot of work? Did they just earn a salary at the end of the month? And you say, well, there's nothing we can do for them. There's a lot that you could have done for them in terms of getting them a new skill, open source trainings. I hope you're able to plug in there and they come back and they add value to the organization, you know. So anyway, so definition of succession planning. Anybody? Anybody? Anybody around succession planning? What's the definition? What's the real definition of succession planning? Anyone? Well, just pretend you're in CHRP. I mean, you are doing your CHRP. Then this question comes in the exam. Okay.
Explain what
Someone
is
needs to
succession
mute the
planning.
mic. Okay. So what is succession planning? And I'm sure you know this, you understand this. Succession planning is a dynamic ongoing business process that brings together the execution of a strategic business plan with the identification, assessment, development, and deployment of talent that ensures successful continuity of the organization. You agree? Ongoing business process. It's an ongoing business process. From the time you decide that I am going to employ Catherine in this organization, she's a suitable candidate, she's earned her way and staff and everything, you must start thinking about succession planning. But that's the least of our worries. We want to onboard, give you your JD, leave you with your line manager, that's it. And as if we call ourselves strong HR business partners, we must think about succession planning. There are two things that you must think every time for the whole talent that you have in the organization. Two things. If you don't take away, in fact, we can stop this webinar now when I say these two things. You must think about performance management for your people every day, and you must think about succession planning every day. Those two things. If performance management is not the first policy in your employee handbook, go and move it, followed by succession planning. And all those other ones can follow. Your learning and development, your compensation, your recruitment, all those other ones I see. I mean, diversity now, I hope you have all those things integrated and, you know, in your policies and stuff like that. So those two are really critical and form the pillar of your HR strategy. So ability to be able to identify, how do you make the assessment, how do you develop, and how do you deploy talent to ensure successful business continuity in your organization? So it's as simple as that. And what have you done in terms of making sure that the staff complement, whether you work in a big organization of 1,000 people, 400,000 people, 100,000 people, or whether you work in a small farm of 50 people, you still have to think about succession planning. You still have to think about performance management, because out of performance management, there's so much you can do out of performance management. You are able to now see really the strengths of Catherine, the competencies, the skills that they are bringing in, and be able now to start thinking, well, if this position was to come up, or we see that you have this, how are you going to prepare you, you know, who's coaching you, who's mentoring you, what kind of trainings do you need, the systems are going on and things like that. So we must be really ready. Succession planning establishes a process that recruits employees, develops their skills, like what we have said, and abilities to prepare them for advancement, all while retaining them to ensure a return on the organization's training investment, and of course, the bottom line. So when you think about your learning and development plans, we say that this is what we want to do for the entire organization. You have your training needs analysis. You are looking every day and saying, well, this is a good place to be. These are the kind of trainings that we want. And of course, also people making their wish list in terms of this is what we really want. But are those trainings really geared towards making people ready for the next big thing, or helping the organization, or is it their training and then you're letting them go? And don't worry about training people so much and then they leave you. It's fine. It's okay. Training people is important in organizations. If they leave you, even after training them in the best schools, the Ivy Leagues, and they go and they come and go, it is fine. You know, because we need to prepare talent for Africa and for Kenya. So when people go to your competitor, it's fine. We are just, the economy is moving on. We feel bad when people leave. But again, you've trained them and they go there and they are best. I mean, and they can always come back. You know, when you do your exit plans, you tell people, well, why are you leaving? Yes, they tell you why you're leaving. Would you want to come back? That is always a good question. And if they left on a good note, well, you can always bring them back and if they want to go. So it's important. And how do you prepare people in the talent pool? Anybody who has a talent pool? Please share with us a talent pool in your organization. How do you ensure talent pool? How do you identify it? What are the criteria for putting people in the talent pool?
Okay, maybe I can share a bit.
Yeah. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
We have a graduate training program.
Mm-hmm.
We go to institutions that are training on our discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get the people who get, you know, who you identify from the pool that can make a good team. Then you train them as management trainees. You put them up. It's a GT program, but we call it, it's a land trainee program. So from there you identify, because they are taken through the whole system, and where you identify there is a lot of passion, we place them there. So it's a pool that we borrow from in order to, first of all, to maintain costs, and secondly, to manage talent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And I'm sure when you go to the universities, the ones that you collaborate with or you work with, you get the top honor students. Do you do that?
Yes, we do.
So why do you get A class students? What happens to the second lower? And when you in campus, was that lower? What was the fail? The lowest of the cadres? Who remembers? What?
By the way, the idea of an A or a B is not really at the university, so much of the university level. We actually have a whole department of HR doing that, because they have to study you from primary school. You know how you graduated, because you know these days people can buy degrees and end up with some 20 A's throughout their whatever, and they don't look it, and that is the problem we are having right now. So we tend to look at these people who show the ability from sort of primary, high school onwards. Even if they end up with a B or second class lower, but you can see that this is a person who is brilliant. You know, when they are harnessed, they can be something. So
Okay.
and the drive, the attitude also, because there's also an attitude issue sometimes with people from campus.
Okay. So how successful, on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful is this program working for you as an organization? Catherine, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Ideally, I would say we are at 7, because it's also made the people who think they are, you know, there are some people who behave like they are permanent and pensionable, you know, like part of the furniture. They never move. So it's brought some fear, and people are scaling up actually, and like taking themselves to learn new things, because they feel this new upcoming team may take their job, and so there is a collaboration. We are just trying to remove that aspect, that aspect of it, and form a team. But yeah, like you're saying, on a scale of up to 10, I would say 7 is a good indicator. At the worst case scenario, 6.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah. So I guess that's for manpower planning in your organization. So let me just pause here and really let's talk about succession planning in terms of identifying people in your talent pool. And I've been very successful, and you can call me up just to ask pointers after this webinar and stuff like that, and how it works and how it drives performance in an organization. So that talent pool can be extremely, it can be extremely difficult and sometimes can be shrouded in a bit of mystery. And that's what you want to avoid from the word go. So as HR and the board or your ExCom team, it's you to drive this agenda of succession planning. And of course, we know that sometimes it's not taken too well, but you need to go in bravely and say, we have exposure in the organization. I see the exposure. And for HR, if you're not talking about risk right now, in where you are, there's a problem. Your frameworks need to have risk and how you're going to mitigate those risks. And if we can have a seminar on how to identify risks in HR. And that's what now I have become good at. And I'm very proud to say that. And I'm happy to help. So you go in and say, we have a problem. Apollo 13, you remember that Houston is calling because the rocket, I think, was about to fall off or something like that. I love that movie. Anyway, so once you say, well, and people will start listening to you, and you say, because if this position leaves, then we expose, we have nobody. Business continuity, we must have it. And in your HR pillars, that is one of the key drivers that you need to pull. And then you need to come in subtly and say, we need to start thinking of a succession plan for ourselves as an organization, and how we're going to do it to be able to do that. And there are many ways. And one of the ways is first is to identify your critical positions in your organization. If you have not identified your critical positions in your organization, it's very hard for you to be able to do succession plans to bring in succession plans in your organization. So the first thing, you're an organization of 1,000 people. You come and say, well, I think we have, first you always think, I think we have about 70, 80 positions which are critical in the organization. You must have a criteria of saying what is a critical position in your organization. And for you to be able to know who is a critical position in your organization, not the hold of the job, the position in your organization, you must address the business need. If you think that the CEO is a critical position, why is it a critical position? Because he sets the vision and the mission of the organization. He's the driver. You know, he's the one who really commands how the business is going to grow. So that's a critical position. Is a driver a critical position in your organization? Yes or no? In an organization that does logistics, and the driver, whatever, will be an extremely critical position. You get what I mean? Because if a driver does not move the product from point A to point B, then there will be a problem. In another organization, would the driver be a critical position? Just let's say we all work from the office, we don't need whatever. The only driver that we have is the MD who moves him from one meeting to another. Is that a critical position in the organization? Can the MD be driven by his colleague, or he hails a cab, or he walks to the meeting, or he runs, or whatever? That's not a critical position. So it's for you to understand which critical positions you have in your organization, and all of you should be on the same boat. So once we identify those critical positions, and if you don't have critical positions in your organization, please start thinking about them and start talking about them, the exposure of the business and what can happen. So after that, we come and say, so we have identified that we have 100 critical positions in this organization, and you start mapping up and say, the CEO, if the CEO was to leave, if the CEO was to fall sick, if the CEO was to die, people die. So don't worry, people die. We all die. You know, we'll not come out alive here. So after all the hard work, can you imagine? That's what really makes me sad, that I'll leave my family, I'll leave friends like you, and we'll not have this kind of nice things to do. Maybe we'll have better things to do in heaven, you know, we don't know. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say, if what are we going to do if the MD this was to happen, what happens? So let me give you a scenario where, like what you said, the MD got sick, and we were just in the organization was just in the middle of doing board papers and stuff like that. The MD got sick the previous day, and the board is here, call the board chair and say, well, this has happened and whatever, the board is ready, assembled and whatever. What would you do? Things are so thick. The boards are being presented, it's the following day. Would the CEO, would the CFO, would the CHRO be able to take mandate and really run with it. They were able to do it, and they were able to just manage and do things like that. So you start looking at that. Is your CFO a critical position? If he was to leave, what happens? You know, if anything was to happen, is every department, is your quality assurance, is your production manager a critical position? If they were to leave, what happens? Are we ready? And you start thinking, so it's not a hard thing. It's not rocket science. And we are not saying that then when we identify a position as a critical position, this is when all these insecurities, and I like that question where someone say, so how do we make sure that people do not feel important, feel entitled, and I am here, I am really important for the business. Hold on, you're really important for the business. We love you being important for the business. But remind them it's the position, boss. It's the position that we are saying it's critical. It's held by you. You are a real good resource, but we would like you to do more. Would like you to do more by starting identifying people in your department who would be able to hold this position if you are not there. You know, so, and what do? Put people now in a talent pool. Then those talent pools are coveted. Some are very difficult to get into. You know, there are test upon test, there are psychometric tests, there are personality tests, there is coaching, there is mentoring, there is working next to Nelly, sitting next to Nelly, or whatever we call them. We are looking at the milestones of saying, this person, Catherine, is actually ready in 6 months. If Frida was to leave today, actually, we would have no gap because Catherine is ready to take this position. Then we're also saying that if Catherine was today, Lorna would be ready in 2 years. We see Lorna being ready in 2 years because of the kind of program that we have to put in place. But most of the time, we put all these programs in place, but we do not monitor them. That is where we fail in terms of making sure that organizations are ready. And people see, well, they've put me in the talent pool, there's nothing happening. There was a lot of excitement in the first 3 weeks. All of us met and we were told this is what it is, but I don't meet with my coach. My boss is not coaching me. I am not being given the programs that I wanted, and it just fizzles out. So when Catherine leaves and say, oh, Lorna, is Lorna ready? Oh, Lorna is not ready. Lorna will be ready in another 3 years. We miss the opportunities. So we can't miss the opportunities. And that's why I said succession planning and performance management should be on the forefront of you as a HR practitioners, with the risks that are actually that you see in the HR department. So please be very sure that those things are happening. So in your talent pool, make sure that people do not feel entitled. And then in the talent pool, what happens? We meet 5 of us in HR. Paint for me that scenario. Someone paint for me that scenario where we have met 5 of us in the talent pool, and we're all looking at each other. So the HR, we've all been promised the HR director's position in another 5 years. Promise me, tell me how we are going to look at each other in the next 3 years as we are being put together to come to the talent pool. Let's have that scenario, and what we would do as HR practitioners to not make people feel entitled and start forming camps. Because we are trying to also look at succession planning. Someone, please. Experiences, what would you do? Or with that, you say, no, I can't even start that succession planning. It's not worth it. Anyone, please unmute your mic. Please, I'm begging. Anyone?
I think I can contribute.
Yeah. Your name?
Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the program, the way you have set it. I think you need to be very intentional when even you are setting out even the program itself, that it does not breed that kind of outcome. And that's one way of arranging the program. And then the other issue is like what we've noticed with the GTs. There's also some history that we have where people probably studied what they studied because that's where they were taken, but they don't find passion there. Now, when you are taking them round through this program, they discover that they like another department better, but they're actually professionally somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's the first hit. You begin to tell them you don't really seem to be a HR. I mean, you're always talking negatively and you need to be a people person. So then you realize those things, but you deal with them through counseling. You cancel the person out because sometimes when people are young, it's possible for them to tweak and change. So the writing of the program is one critical part. The second thing is rotation, just to discover themselves. The third thing is, of course, organizing yourself for shocks. Like you've done everything, this person has ended up feeling so special. They leave you, because then you have to deal with mourning and groaning and all that. But I think those two of rotation, making sure that they are all over where they find passion, and two, the writing of the program is critical, and putting systems in place for counseling, career counseling at the side would probably help. That's my 2 cents.
That's very good. Thank you, Catherine, for that. I totally agree with it in terms of do not have a bloated succession planning talent pool, because it just brings unnecessary animosity among the groups and the leaders. So it has to be business driven, and it's not well, I like all my people in the HR department to be in the talent pool. It can't be like that. We must be able to assess the risk, because it also costs money for you to have a talent pool program. It's not easy. It calls for money and it has to be budgeted for. Anybody else? What would you do even if you don't have it? What's your ideal situation? We have 5 of us here. We are looking and thinking, well, the HR director should fall dead tomorrow, so that, sorry, no pun intended, but that's how many would want to look at it, and I will be the next person in line. Anybody? Anybody? In terms of how you see it, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you. What's your name?
My name is Tracy Gay. And probably just to add some of
the line is not too clear. Oh, we can't hear you, sorry.
Succession planning has been a pain point.
I think she dropped, sorry. We couldn't hear her, sorry. Try and maybe stabilize your line and then come back. I think you have valuable information. Anybody else?
Can I say something?
Yes, yeah. Your name?
Hi, my name is Rhoda.
Hi, Rhoda.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Now, what I would like to say regarding the talent pool is that maybe what we can do, what an organization deems to do is that they identify people with according to their abilities and their performance. Because if you have like 5 people in HR, you don't expect to put all of them in the talent pool. That will cause confusion and some issues later, should there be a position to be filled. But if you can identify with abilities and their performance, maybe you pick like 2, you put them in the pool for training and further advancement in the succession plan. Thanks.
Yeah, true. Performance, very no doubt that you have to look at their past performance, how they're performing, their attitude, their capability as well, their passion, the ability to lead the business and to see the bigger picture. Very true. Someone else? Anybody else? Thank you, Rhoda, for sharing. Anybody else? In terms of how we drive it. Simon Boro. Just looking at the male who are in the webinar so we can also hear a male's voice. Anyway, okay, so you can always unmute yourself. So how does succession planning help an organization? And we all know this, you know, to engage senior management in a disciplined review of the organization talent, guide development activities of the staff, bring HR systems to alignment, ensure continuity of critical positions and of key positions in the organization. So that's very important. We also avoid transitional problems. People do retire, and some organizations have a younger workforce. When you do your mean age, maybe it's 20 something, and some people have, like the government, I think, when the statistics were released a couple of years ago, they had a more aging workforce and stuff like that. So the retirement, you know, people due for retirement were coming in faster, and they needed to look at replacing those positions and critical positions. And some people are so good at their work. Have you seen those people who are just let to stay in the organizations? Why do we let them stay? They're due for retirement. They have maybe retired officially, but we're still bringing them in as consultants. Why? For 2 years, 3 years, why? Why do we still keep bringing people to the organization? Calling them, please come and help us?
Now, I can say something here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Now,
the line is not too
so
good.
that I would one could be that this person. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Now, what I'm saying is that I will give you two approaches there.
Yeah.
One is that perhaps this person was quote unquote too mean to train or mold their juniors to be able to take up the position when they are gone. Number two, the company is not willing to promote the juniors who are still there. Like we have a case in our organization that someone retired and they came back in contract terms, you know. So you wonder, there are people below that person, but the problem is the organization feels that these juniors or rather these people working under him cannot match up his shoes or his abilities, which in my view, I feel that some people tend to own it, like they don't mold anyone. I don't know whether they feel threatened or something, but it would be better if leaders would mold their juniors, because if anything happens unexpectedly, then it causes issues in the organization. Thanks.
And it's very unfortunate that we can actually have people working with us for 40 years, and when it comes to retirement, then we are still calling them. What have they been doing? Not looking at succession planning. As HR, it means that we have failed. It's true. Some positions, I mean, some people are really experts and we'll call them, but it should never be at the mercy of the organization where we cannot actually do what? We cannot call upon, we don't have anybody else to do the job. We really have failed as HR. And that's why I say succession planning is really an important element in the organization. So what are some of the objectives of succession planning in an organization? Objectives of succession planning? I was trying to look at my headphones. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Succession planning in an organization?
I can give it a try. I hope my connection is clear.
Yeah, it's good, Kinyanjui.
Yeah, I mean, one to see advantages to aim in retention, so it should feed into our retention strategy as well. Because if people know I'm being prepared to succeed, the HR director in the next 5 years, then I'm bound to stay because I know there's something lined up for me. So it helps in the retention strategy of the organization.
Yeah, helps in the retention, no doubt about it. People feel motivated. There's a plan for me and stuff and everything. Someone else, thank you. Someone else? Okay. So the objectives, and this is where you can borrow your policy. Who wanted to come up with a policy in the organization? Please borrow these ones and go and shine away and put it in the wordings of your organization and stuff like that. So you'll definitely get a bonus, an extra bonus. And when you get it, you can come and share with all of us. Should be humor in these things, never, don't reinvent the wheel. I remember when everybody was trying to look for return to work policies, guidelines. People always saying, do you have it? Do you have it? And some people didn't want to share. Never be afraid of hearing these things. They almost look very similar, because where do we get all these things from? We get them from the Employment Act, the labor laws and stuff like that, best practices, what your organization want to do. Does it want to be the market leader? So never worry about sharing these things. And of course, it's company confidential information. You need to hold it at that. But if it's things that you can share, really, WHO guidelines, you've put them just in a better palatable way, allow us who are not writers to be able to also shine away. So the following are the objectives of succession planning, and we all agree to them. Determine workforce trends and predictions of command, how it has changed, the key departments and senior personnel. Is HR a key department in your organization? It's that one that is looked at. Oh, there's a HR. Let's go and check on them. Do you feel that you are regarded as a key department in your organization? Or generally, do you think that HR, we are regarded as a key department? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think, okay, in most organizations, very high level organizations know how HR is critical and put money into HR because of managing people. But when you come to medium level of organizations going down, they associate HRs with administration. And I think they even sometimes forget that you are there. Especially just, you find on a Monday morning, somebody has been given a letter to come and report. Then you ask, where was this? I mean, what happened? And I've been here. So I think a lot of people tend to think HR is an SSF, an HIF, payroll, that kind of stuff. And so this new format of HRBP, they are finding it very difficult. And just to comment, I think about, and I commend you for bringing up succession planning. It is one of the thorny issues because in Africa, succession planning is fought because it's taken like death, like writing a will for an organization. And so when you're saying that in case anything happens and you leave or you die, you're not supposed to mention that. And it's only HR that has the power to use bad words like death, and wills and stuff like that. So I think HR is underrated, if you ask me, but it can be a very useful consideration if they realize how critical HR is.
Critical, yeah, Catherine. HR plays a critical role in any organization. In fact, if anything, if it's not in your organization, if it is not the top, if you're not sitting next to the MD's office, there is a problem. You better go and move your office next to the MD tomorrow on Monday. Just say I'm moving because I'm the most important. This is the most important department in this organization, honestly. So if a person reports to me on Monday, oh, I was hired XYZ, I've been told to come. So I say to the person who hired you over there, go and onboard them, how it happened and stuff like that. And I know that all organizations are not that. Some organizations are more difficult to work in. HR will not be given the mantle to run with it and to make sure that things are working. And only when it happens, then they run to HR. let us be extremely strategic. Let the pillars of HR be put in the strategic plan of the organization, and let it run as the most important department in the organization. If you've not been invited to the table, take the chair with you. Just take the chair and sit at the table. What will they do? There's nothing they will do. They know that now you are here, it's whatever. But I think the most important thing, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that you must be on the same page with your MD. Tell the MD, I am here to make you successful. And this success comes based on how you make sure that HR is integrated in every department. And for me, I will help you do that. Let him start seeing value. Let them start seeing value in what you bring to the table. Then after that, pull the chair. At SMT meeting, just rock up with your chair one day. What will they do? Will they tell you to leave? Sorry, maybe that's very radical, but anyway, I know things can work and whatever. So, and I agree, succession planning is shrouded with mystery, especially in Africa, because we look at our politicians, isn't it? And they don't want to leave. They want to be there forever. So we take the same behavior, and research has been done, is because we see the perceptions we see outside, we bring them into the organization. And we start thinking, oh, I am here to stay. I have raw power. I cannot go anywhere. I am retiring, but I am not going. And I will not teach. I have 10 years to go. I will not tell anybody what happens in this department. I go with the files home. I leave with the keys. I go with the files. I do not do this. The machine is spoiled. It's only me who knows where to get the parts. It's only me who knows how to operate the machine and stuff like that. We see that a lot. But I guess we've also come a long way in terms of what we do. So our onboarding systems, processes and systems need to be extremely clear. We also need to make sure that our succession planning is something that we are talking about, but more so performance management in the organization, for us to be able to move forward and make sure that everybody understands what happens in the organization. Difficult sometimes, but these conversations must come to the table now. And this is the right time, because we say if we are not going to learn from this crisis of Corona and how it has disrupted businesses, every business, what is it now? So schools have opened, teachers went away, teachers were not paid. Now we start asking the teachers, was there a succession plan? If you had only 2 teachers, if it was a small school and both of them got jobs somewhere else, your standard 4 children have come, tell me what's happening there. Does the standard 3 or standard 5 teacher know? Of course, they can teach pretty easily, but have you thought about it? These are real struggles that everybody is trying to find their space now. And if we didn't look at all these putting the positions together right now during this time, then we are still far behind in terms of having this discussion. So understand the organization long-term goals and objectives, extremely important. Identify positions that are critical to the enterprise. We have said that over and over again. Identify and develop successors for critical positions. Extremely important again. How do we make sure that we are doing that? How objective is it? Are we using performance like someone who say that? Are we looking at the business? Are we looking at the risks for us to be able to say these really objectives really meet the business, and we'll be able to move forward? Any question, any comments before I move on? Please, any questions? Please share. Any experiences? Can you be able to move your office to the MD's office and dislodge the CFO or the COO? Or I'm just imagining things. I live in, what is that, Kusadikika?
Yeah. You live in
Kusadikika.
Let me just give an illustration. I think for KenGen, I don't know, we are allowed to use this safe space to talk. KenGen a while ago had turbines that were very old school. And you know, these machines can be very expensive.
Yeah.
And when they laid off these old men, they forgot that they are the ones that had come from the old polytechnic system where they were learning. You see, like now there's no mechanics, there's mechatronics, yeah, because every machine coming has mechanics and electronics attached. So these guys were rendered useless because they were not understanding this scientific language. A bit like, you know how we perceived physics with Abbott? So they just decided to lay them off. And when they laid them off, there was one of the, is it Kipevu or something? There was a problem and it needed one of those engines. And the experts were those old men and they had been retired, they'd gone back home. So they were going to lose a lot of money. So the expert, I think their auditors just told them, why don't you recall them? And they tried to be recalled. And of course, they went to a lawyer and they were told, young Ivo, you name your price. So they came, and what these guys thought at malizeni this thing, and we'll give you guys each, it may take 2-3 days, we'll give you guys about maybe 30,000 each. And for a job of 2 days, well, consultants are not paid like that, so they thought it is good. So these guys went and got an expert. So they came up with a figure, which was like 200,000. You know, when they considered the business that they were going to lose, they just looked at it and thought, no, you know, let's just pay this 200,000. So that was a case in history that they retired people without planning. They had not upgraded to other machines. And they might probably need the old men, you know, to come in as consultants or something of that nature. So they had to resit and, you know, plan for that, because the prices of those machines are not cheap. They have to be flown in from other countries. Wow. And so it was a very uncomfortable thing for KenGen.
I know. So the old man was saying, vijana wadogo hata wajui kazi, walituambia tuende nyumbani na sasa wanakuja kutuita, watajua wajui. Is there a saying like that? People like to use it in Kenya, and we'll put a premium for it. You see, succession planning, ability to be able to make sure that everybody knows how to use the machines, the old machines, the new machines. How do we make sure that we are having a hybrid way of doing things? And I think it is important for us to accept hybrid will be one of the ways moving forward of doing succession planning in an organization. That some people are very rigid in the way they do things. How do we accommodate them, but taking them to the bigger picture of where we want to go? And that's why a HR practitioner must be a strong business partner to the CEO of the organization. I look at it and say, boss, there's a problem. I see that there are old people in this organization. They are very set in their ways, but we need to tell them to look at the bigger picture, which is where the organization is going. How do we help them to be able to get to that place where we want to go without them feeling that their positions are being threatened, for them to be able to show the older people? And of course, it happened in our mother's age. Yeah, if you have elderly parents that I do, you know, I keep on saying I'm about to retire from this HR field to whatever. In fact, after this, by the way, before I forget, I have yesterday someone asked me to look for a good HR manager and a good HR assistant. So if you're looking for a job or someone, you know, you can see me after. We can discuss after this. Sorry to just put it through, but I think it is important. We are also here to network. We agree? So it's very important for us to be able to do that. So how does a succession planning illustration, how does it look like? How can you picture it? If you're going to talk about it in a board meeting, if you're going to put the policies together, what does it look like? Anybody? In terms of painting the picture, the illustration from point A to point B, from point A to point B, illustration. So you can pull this as well and put it in the policy, whatever. So the planning, and you say, well, we need to do that. And then they all look at you and they say, in fact, I have an illustration of how it's going to look like. In fact, I even have costing. You go in with costing as well. Don't forget costing, because it costs money to bring in a policy. It costs in money for the so that you can get a budget out of it. It might not be immediate. You have to keep driving it. So supplier awareness, workforce analysis, and trends. What are the trends in your industry right now? If you're in manufacturing, do you know the trends in your industry? If you're in the hospitality industry, what is the trend right now? Are you keeping abreast? If you're in telecoms industry, what is the trend right now? Can we talk about one or two trends in your industry? Have you thought about it? What are the trends really we are looking at? Anybody? If you're working for the government, what is the trend? What are the trends that we are looking at? If you're in healthcare, what are the trends? What are the new trends in HR, in your profession? So I like just to, steer our minds and ability to think about the bigger picture. Those trends come with risks. Are they going to be accepted? Anybody? Trends in the industry, in your industries?
Let me contribute there. When I was in the media industry, the trend was to poach. So the biggest trend was that if somebody lives in a position, let's say like an anchor, rather than promote somebody who has been there, it's to look for who is doing well in another station and bring them in. You poach them at a higher cost.
Was that sustainable? Was that good?
It's just the trend that is ongoing. If you look at what is going on, mainly rather than grow internal talent, getting your viewers to come into your station and watch your news or whatever, you need somebody who is authoritative and can bring in the audience. So the best way to do it, or the trend, is just go and poach somebody who already has the following.
Okay. I think from an outsider, and maybe the 75% of us, the 75 of us in this forum can bear witness is that, and I'm talking from a HR point of view now. So it's a lazy trend, because then first we have and I understand, leave the revenue stream that we need to drive. I bring in people and I bring in masses. Catherine is the new anchor at XYZ, and we are all waiting to see her in the new station. You get what I mean? So it brings in the revenue, which is quick and fast, and that's what everybody thinks about. But it also discourages the other people, the other junior anchors, to really, when will they shine away? When will they also make something for themselves? And how will we make sure that there's retention and people feel appreciated? That if Catherine leaves, then I have an opportunity to also make it, and I will be bigger than what Catherine was. So you also make viewers lazy. And that's how you start killing stations. Do you know some stations have just fizzled out, died, because all the anchors went to one station, isn't it? So we start killing the other stations because they start struggling. Now everybody has gone to one station. Do you all agree with me? It's something that we can discuss around trends of poaching from one industry to the other. We poach in the good people, yes, because revenues have to continue. This is a good person, we follow them. And also, ladies, will also say, if you are a manicurist or you are a salonist moves to another salon, don't you follow them, even if it is 10 kilometers away? Why do we do that? And there's someone who can make your hair in the same salon. Just loyalty. But that is also how we kill a business. And how do we make sure that so other stations struggle to get to where they are? And then also what happens in that other station is that the whatever is so bloated, the payroll, because these people come with a premium. So we start struggling, everybody is struggling. And I'm saying that because I was called at a level of discussing this trend of how do we contain this kind of how do we balance revenue, a bloated workforce, and also people following and there, whatever. So it's important. I see it, and it's just something that we need to think through as HR. So where is your point of reference as a HR in terms of the risks that you see for the business when these kind of trends happen? Don't we also see HR directors coming from one company to another? They'll always get that job if it's open and you're trying to look for it. A banker, very senior banker, we know that they will go to this bank, they will always go to that bank. So those trends they can really bring a lot of dissatisfaction internally. They can blot your workforce. But again, as I said, the bottom line, people, the first thing we always PPP, people, planet, and profit. But what we do as organizations is always profit, profit, profit. We don't care about people. We don't care about the planet. Anyway, another trend, or anybody who wants to contribute to that? Is it true? Is it something that we can try and address as HR? Succession planning of trends we see in the industry? Are you concerned about it, or it's fine? People go, even me, I'll go one day, it's fine. It's not my company after all. Anyone? Anyone? Any contribution to
I
that?
put it in the chat, but I could probably just verbalize it.
Yeah. Anthony, we can't hear you. You're muted. Please unmute. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My connection is unstable, but I'll give it a try.
Anthony, we didn't hear you. Maybe Anne, you can read what was on the chat, please, as we go on. Anyway, so supplier, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
we can hear
sorry,
you.
yeah.
We can hear you, Catherine.
Okay, so sorry. So the supplier analysis, we are looking at the trends, and we've talked about the trends, employee competencies, workforce demographics, and demographics are in which countries are you operating in, what jurisdictions, what does it matter for you, you know, is it easier to get talent there? Current workload analysis, some departments are more overloaded, the pressure is real, and people don't want to add more workforce and stuff like that because of budgets. And then we also look at the demand analysis. So there's the supply analysis, and then we come to the demand analysis. Workforce knowledge, skills, and abilities to make projected needs and staffing patterns, anticipated programs, and workload changes. If anybody is doing end of year processes right now, if your calendar year, if your financial year ends in December, one of the things that you must be doing right now is manpower planning, isn't it? Or maybe it's a continuous process, but I see a lot of people doing manpower planning right now. So you need to, when line managers come and justify that I want 20 more people in my organization, in my department, we must be able to analyze and to critique. Do we really need 20 people? And as HR, you must be able to guide around manpower planning. Legal department comes and says, I want 5 people. And then the board only comes and tells you, we have only 11 positions to fill. But all the departments, the positions put together, the ones they want 52 people brought in next year. And all of them rightfully have something to say around the 52 people they want. They have justified it. So as HR, where is your role in terms of manpower planning? How are you helping departments be able to look at the supply analysis and the demand analysis? You know, so it's for you to be able to guide that discussion and say, we have 11 positions. Where is the hemorrhage? Where do we need to seal? Internally, what are we going to do? Are we going to promote 11 people going up? And then we start recruiting around that place. So your succession planning around then comes into place. Your performance checks for people in the organization start coming into place. So, and then after that, you go to the gap analysis, comparison of future workforce competencies with future needs. Have you looked at the future workforce? What do you think is going to be? Do you think about a lot about AI, Internet of Things, you know, all those things that are going, the gig economy? I mean, we cannot be we cannot be magicians, but we need to play some futuristic role in terms of where is this organization going? What are our strategies? What are the pillars? What is our competition doing? How will people, our clients, our customers, our stakeholders receive our products and services that we offer? What are we what kind of data, what kind of things are people saying about our products? That's the only way that we'll be able to look into the future in a crystal ball and say, adakabadabra, these are the kind of people we'll need in the future. These people in the future, are we going to make them ready in our organization, look at the competencies, or are we going to look out? Another opportunity for you to start their succession planning and start making people ready in terms of the projected future workforce competencies that you need. Analysis of how workforce demographics will change, identifying areas in which management action would need to reach workforce objectives. And I keep on saying again, during this corona, have you identified gaps? E-commerce was the big thing. Have you been able to look at people who drive that e-commerce platform for them to be able to move and to be able to do what needs to be done? Any question? And then finally, the solution analysis, planning workforce transition, employee development, and retaining changes in staffing patterns. You know, maybe you come and say, we all need to be HR generalists going into the future. I don't see as being called I'm an expert in learning and development. I'm an expert in compensation and benefits. Are we now all going to say you can serve anywhere without you being an expert? Some organization think, but I keep on telling HRs, please be experts in all the principles of HR, in all the functions of HR, for you to be able to easily transit if you are to go into another organization. But of course, some people are very passionate of saying, well, I'm really in training and development. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there are great opportunities that lie when you can be able to demonstrate your ability to be a holistic HR. Again, I said the trend, you must be data driven, you must be risk, you must think about risk in HR, you must think about using technology in HR to be able to drive. We can never underestimate what data can do for you, what metrics you need to be able to be providing. So you must be able to plug into those places, yeah. But HR is here to stay, so don't worry, nobody is taking us anywhere. Comments? 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 Question, please?
Just thinking back to the media example.
Yeah.
And wondering at what point do media, or where do media houses expect the anybody else who's doing a similar thing, like the capacity building, where does it come in? If you're only going to look for established people who will bring you instant clients, you know? Or is it the age of instant gratification, instant coffee, instant success? I mean, that's what I'm thinking about. Just a comment.
Yeah, about where is, yeah, it's a good question. Anybody who would want to contribute to that? Anybody? In terms of what do we do about training for the other people do they have an opportunity, or it's just looking at the profits at the end of the screen and saying, this is what we want to do, and this is what's gonna happen? Anybody? Honestly, Tatu, I have no idea as well, because it's a trend that is there. And is it going to stop? It might not be able to stop, because we are looking at, you have 100,000 followers, 1,100 followers. We also profile your followers, and we say in your following, they are middle-aged, and we need to put in an advert of XYZ product, because that time, and it's families watching, so they will bring a soap advert, a cereal breakfast advert, and stuff like that. So they also profile your followers and see, and they go and tell the people who are selling space for you to advertise. These people need to advertise on this platform, and this they give the companies and say, you have this kind of reach, and I'm sure you'll be able to increase your sales. So it's very intricate, it's very interwoven around how the minds of people, the minds of businesses, where to advertise. So you can see how long a chain it actually becomes. Yeah. Anybody else?
Will we get to a point where these, let me call them celebrities, will retire, then we are left with a gap because maybe we are not getting enough, I don't know, new celebrities into the, maybe like the media space in terms of like anchors, and or should there be some sort of obligation, whether like some people taking it upon themselves, not like a legal obligation, to basically mentor new, enough new people such that when this group, because I feel like it's the same people being recycled over and over, when that group leaves, will we be left with, that's my thinking, like with a gap, or I don't know. It's just a thought. Yeah.
When these popular anchors leave, so what happens? So we start watching. So what's the real value? It comes back to the value. So why do I watch TV? Why do I watch news? You get what I mean?
Yes.
Is it because, Catherine is presenting and I know I need to watch, and when George comes to present, because George is the next on my screen, that's why I've read out what George is, that, I really don't care. So it comes back to the values of me as an individual, what I want to hear, what I want to see, and the values of the business. So I don't know, really. It's something that we need to think about as HR. If the trends of really bringing in the business compared to how do we easily now bring in other people as well. If I think we have an opportunity, and hybrid again, a real good anchor who commands the space. Why can't they come and read news with a new anchor? And we're all excited. Guess what? Catherine was reading news with another anchor called George, and they look really good together. And trend it. What would stop us from doing that? And really now thinking, what would stop us? I've always thought about it. And this anchor now is slowly put into the market, and they form a space for themselves.
Yeah.
Is it something that can happen?
I think it's an opportunity, like you said, for maybe the HR professionals in that space.
Anyway, if you get an interview in that space now, you have everything to answer. You get the job. Like that. As my children say, Simbaya. Anyway, so let's move on. Thank you, and please continue contributing. I think that is something that I would really encourage. Hybrid ways of doing things are really nice. Effective succession planning. So how do we make sure that we are successful in succession planning, that people feel it's really working, driven by HR, supported by the senior management team? Everybody knows that in this organization, I'm able to do this, I'm able to move in this direction. How do we do that? So the following are a few key points, and you can add for an effective and successful succession planning. Involve and buy in, and we all know that top management, program managers, human resource. In fact, human resource, we should just whatever, because they're the drivers, and we know we should be the technical people. Ability to accurate input data. If you're not talking about data and showing how people are living, how the business is going to be impacted, how long it takes to train a person to get there. If we start early, this is what it would look like. Then you're not going to be successful. Identify budget and resources required that we've already mentioned. Laying out a detailed implementation plan from the beginning to the end. And also look at ways of evaluating it. If it is not working, if your framework you have put is not working, the environment has changed, and the environment changed very quickly in March for many of us. So were you able to adjust some of the plans? And if you have a succession plan, in fact, let me stop right there and maybe challenge you and say, was it one of the plans that you looked into? Or you just looked at we need to survive right now, and then you are picking it up now? Is it something that you picked up and saying that it's not working, we need to relook at it? The environment has changed internally, externally, the competition has done this, the regulations, the statutory regulations have changed, we need to do that. You have to look into all these things for you to make sure that it's effective and we are succeeding in the succession planning processes and procedures. Employee involvement. Do you involve everyone? Do we communicate? Good communication and marketing of your talent pool, of your processes of succession planning, why we need it. Link the plan to other planning processes, your manpower planning processes, your performance processes, your business processes, because that is where it's actually needed. Does the heartbeat, let's say you're in manufacturing, and that is where your business exists. You manufacture an important product for the market and stuff like that. That is where you need to make sure that you are plugging in and you are playing in that space. HR serves as a in a consulting role, but management owns the process. We all agree that, isn't it? Anything, HR is just an enabler, because you have the technical capability, you have the technical expertise. So for you, your role is to make sure that you are guiding. And sometimes when you are really struggling in terms of getting buy-in, ask your peers, ask your friends what's happening. Ask all of us. Create a network, because your networks is your capital net worth. And also at the same time, I keep on saying, it is not bad to bring a consultant from outside, because they see it with different eyes. Something that you're not able to internalize in the organization because you've not been able to do what? You've not been able to look at holistically, or maybe you're not getting the buy-in from people. Replacement strategy. Replacement management. Replacement management is a process of ensuring that pools of skilled employees are trained and available to meet the strategic objectives of the organization. In fact, what I did, because I am so passionate about talent pool and replacement strategy, I spoke about it earlier on, and we agreed what the talent pool, the good, the bad, and the ugly of getting people into the talent pool. And sometimes it can be shrouded in mystery, but a good process should be that. Even your graduate programs, which you go out and partner, like what Catherine was telling us, you go and partner with universities, colleges, and are bringing in people in the organization, taking them in different departments for them to learn. It forms part of your succession planning, but it's more of manpower planning. That is more of manpower planning. So we need to look at these even graduate programs. How do they aid in succession planning? So just not about manpower planning, and we feel that there will be a space, there will be a gap in the marketing department. Catherine came in, her degree was in engineering, and all of a sudden, but she's very good in marketing.
We see her passion, her ability to excel, and we put her there. So apart from just bringing in manpower planning and rotation, but we should also look at it in terms of succession planning. So if is this person good for us to be able to put them in our talent pool? Okay. And sometimes start these discussions at a level of with your line managers when you're having lunch. Throw them, I mean, you're having lunch, you're having a good time, and just throw them the question around. If XYZ left today, how would you fill that gap? And hear what they have to say. And if you're close enough and say, so if you were to leave, who would replace you in your department? And then watasema, wacha uchokozi Catherine, kwani unaona mimi ni kama ninaenda mahali ama umesikia fununu. That's the problem of being HR, you know. So you must, depends on the relationship that you have with whatever, just in terms of introducing it in a very casual way. But I said it calls for you to be brave to take it to the table and say, we have real exposure in this organization. We need to do this. It follows a process for finding employee for key managerial positions, especially because then you don't want to be exposed. So what's the purpose of replacement management? And replacement management, I say, is it also can be called your talent pool. It takes care of long-term succession. It helps to provide the training and work experience to enable individuals to assume a higher level job appointments in the future. It takes care of short-term emergencies replacement. It helps to replace individuals who have quit, individuals who have been terminated due to performance issues or have died. You see, etc. Improve effectively filling of vacancies. So are some of the things that you are doing, and I'm sure you are doing these things, but maybe not just in a structured process. So we need to start doing them in a more structured process. Is it something that you see that you can do in your organization? Or let's pause here and say, what would be some of the challenges that would stop you from implementing a talent pool and putting all these processes in place in your organization? What do you see, and what maybe we can help you in coming with some solutions? Anyone? Have you implemented? Is it in isolation? Is it implied? Because many organizations, it's implied. We know that if Catherine leaves, this will be the next person will come up. If XYZ leaves, if the marketing director leaves, we have the marketing manager and stuff like that. But we also know sometimes, hey, I think the marketing officer is even better than the manager. What would stop you from implementing this, guys? Is it fear? Is lack of support? Is it nobody seems to care? Is it budgets? Have you tried and failed? How did you feel about it? Do you feel that this is something that you can start looking into? Anyone? Please, let's share experiences. Experiences is what really takes us a long, long, long way.
Hi, Catherine. This is Sabrina.
Yeah. Hi, Sabrina.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I think it's lack of support, because sometimes you bring this, you give this idea to management, and they're aware succession planning is important. So it's like they shrug you. Like we had one officer who was being given everything in HR to do. So I kept on telling the head of HR, if this person goes, if you don't want the rest to know what is happening, and the gentleman was about to retire, what would happen? You'd rather share this work so that the rest know it, So they don't want to hear that, and they know support. So what happened? The gentleman actually, it reached terminal leave. He was still there working. He did not go for his terminal leave, and then it reached retirement date. He stayed there. He still worked for a week more, still doing work for them, and they're still giving him work. Then one day he just disappeared when none of them was aware. And from there, it's like now, up to now, they're still trying to call him. We need this information, because when they come, like they come to me, we need this data. I'm like, yes, I can give you this, but the other so and so was handling, so there's no way I can assist you. So they start running up and down, and you see that's the result. Because up to now, they're still running and asking. This guy went with all the information. What do we do? There's a lack of support, I think.
Yeah, lack of support from the people who should be enabling the process and looking at the bigger picture. So now everybody is left suffering, and the people in that department are the ones who take the blame because now work is not moving. So a very unfortunate position to be in, Sabrina. And I can relate, I can empathize. And many of us can be caught there in that situation where we keep saying, please let the person also teach us, but they're not teaching us, they're not looking, they're not mentoring, they're not releasing the information. So he disappeared on you guys. Poleni sana. One day, even maybe he will come back one day. On a light note, someone else. But it's very true. We've had lack of support from the people who are supposed to be doing it. Someone else? Anyone? Anyone?
I think sometimes it's, and this is from an organization where I worked, and we felt that for example, the retirement. Let me talk about retirement. Training is coming a bit too late. It might not actually be helpful. So we decided to do 10 years, 5 years, and then a year to retirement. And a gentleman who had worked with us in middle management for long was very upset when we sent him for the 5-year to retirement training. He actually resigned because he believed that we wanted to fire him. And just trying to explain to him that we are not firing you, but you know that you're approaching retirement. We're just coming up with a better system to train people early, so that financial management actually makes sense at that point. If you're going to give you financial management training just before you retire, it's too late.
It's too late.
You've not saved, and he left. He said, you want to fire me, and you're using tactics to try and fire me, and he just resigned and left at that point. Sometimes maybe it's just lack of understanding, maybe like Sabrina has said, from the people who should be supporting you, or even the people who you're trying to help in that capacity. I've recently seen a situation where it's a manager who goes on leave and somebody's asked to step in, and the manager feels like, oh, okay, are they trying to replace me now? Because mostly I think lack of understanding.
Yeah, lack of understanding and feeling insecure and feeling a sense of entitlement. You get what I mean? I've been here, what do I do? So we need to go back and interrogate our policies in terms of how do we communicate this and why are we doing it, and getting feedback from employees and say, is it a good thing? We believe that if we bring in these programs, then it gives us an opportunity to all understand, to buy in, and to be able to look at the bigger picture. And I can also imagine is that when this guy decided to leave, other people, well, some people are donkeys. Okay, fine, but it's a good program, so he doesn't understand it, he can go. And other people said, oh, I am sure, Nikweli, these programs are out to sabotage us and let us go. So that negative energy, which is not supposed to be there, can start building up. And how do we make sure that we contain it? It's very difficult because it's perception versus the reality. So I keep on saying, one of the things as HR that you must have programs for is separation programs from, if you were to retire from this organization, this is what, and it begins at onboarding and say, this is what we expect you to do. If you're believing because you're reaching retirement, the organization starts preparing you 10 years into your retirement.
5 years into your retirement, we prepare you more. And 1 year into your retirement, we prepare you intensely. And during that time, it's not just you, we are focusing on you as an individual. We're also focusing on you, on your team, and on the skills that you have had. And all along, then it's not easy. It's not a mystery, because if you have good succession planning, if you have good performance management evaluation programs, and it's not just at the end of the year, these things stop being looked at as a one-time thing that we are doing. So it's continuous, and I see the struggle. So from the time someone comes in, I think the opening statement would be, welcome. We are very happy to have you in this organization. I believe you're going to have a good time. Retirement age is XYZ years. They look at you and think, Allah, I'm only 25. But we are here to tell you that retirement will come, and retirement continues being very, I don't know why people don't want to retire. It's a good thing to retire and leave other people. It's because we are not prepared for retirement, and this is what identifies us. Tell me if majority of you, your friends don't identify you as Catherine Wa XYZ company, isn't it? That's not your identity. It's true, it's easier for us to identify you. It's Kinyanjui of ABC organization. Ujui yo Kinyanjui wa ABC organization, but that's not your identity. Your identity should be your brand. You know, Kinyanjui, the guru in industrial relations. I mean, is that one? Yes, it's that one. It's that one that we are talking about. That's the one. Is he your friend? Yeah. Can you connect me to him? Yes. Things like that. You must build your brand even as you build your employee value proposition. Your brand must be, you must put your agenda there so that it becomes easier for you to not just think, well, this organization. So if you leave that organization, how do we save you on the phone? You tell me where you've gone, then I save you as that. So it must be, we must know you for the value and the legacy that you leave in that organization. Okay. Someone else before I move? Thank you for those inputs. Very important. Ability for people. Let's communicate. Let's ask those questions. Let us be the drivers as HR, the people who bring the technical expertise and the knowledge. Okay. Something else? Yeah. Evolution of the succession management. So where did it come from? Where are we going? Is it important? Is the process of finding replacement for employees for key managerial positions, that is true, or in the other position that is critical in the organization? Replacement planning has evolved into succession management by broadening the focus, expanding the time horizon, creating a talent pool, and improving the evaluation system. Okay, so those are some of the things. So what are the reasons for succession planning? Reasons, they can be as many as we are on this webinar. I will not read all of them. The notes are there. Diversity and inclusion, promotions for high potentials. Who are your high potentials? Are your high potentials necessarily the people in the talent pool? Yes or no? Or are they? Who are your high potentials? High flyers, who are they?
Excuse me. Hello? Can
Hi.
you hear me?
Hi, Christine. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is something that we recognized in our organization.
Mm-hmm.
I work for a women-based social enterprise that offers unsecured loans to women in the rural heartlands of Kenya.
Yeah.
So this is something that we discovered when we were trying to come up with a leadership and development program to enable our entry-level field staff to occupy, to acquire skills, knowledge, and exposure so that they can be able to occupy mid-level managerial positions. So what we realize is that high potentials are not necessarily people who are in our existing talent pool, because when we tried to define high potential, we discovered that high potentials are not necessarily people who perform well. because we had quite a number of them, right? Who are meeting their performance expectations, and every quarter their performance graph seems to just be going up and up and up, not necessarily. High potentials are those individuals, because we even came up with a policy where we defined this, are those individuals who desire to be exposed to more challenging positions where they are able to influence and direct organizational culture and policies. You understand? Because for us, culture is the top criteria way before skills and knowledge and competencies. So having this in mind, we realized those people, we even engaged those people who are trying, who are always constantly good performers. They're like, no, me, I don't want to be a team leader. I don't want to be a team leader. It's hard, it's difficult, it's stressful. So yeah, high potentials are not necessarily people who are already in existing talent pool.
Seminar imeisha, that's it. So that is very true. Your high potentials are your champions in your organization. If you don't take anything else in this seminar, this is the second thing that I am saying this. What was the first thing I said? If you don't take anything from this seminar, I mean, we can close the seminar after this. I say this. You can't remember? Tell me what I said. Someone redeem all of us.
Forgive, it's Saturday.
Forgive, it's Saturday. Okay, I'll do the recap of it here. Your high potentials are people because they are constantly being driven by the bigger vision of the organization. They are your champions. They believe in, they have the DNA running, they're fully engaged in the process, and naturally, they become high performers. That's it. It just follows. If I have a good attitude, I understand the vision for this organization. I believe in the products and the services that it offers. And most of the time, your high potentials become those people who really are driving the wheel of your organization because you have a very people-centric organization. So nearly everybody has the potential of becoming a high potential if you are very people-centric based organization. So it just follows through that the high potentials also perform very well. But there are some people who are really good performers, but they have a lousy attitude. And we let them just continue because they bring in all the sales. So you see, that is why we need to define our high potentials as people who really have the interest of the organization at heart, and they are naturally good performers. And that's why we keep on saying, no, but XYZ really brings in sales, but they antagonize everybody in this organization. But we don't want to let them go because they bring 50% of the sales. Do we have people like those in your? Do you have people like those in your organization? We are just scared of letting them go because of the volume that they bring. But they jump on everybody's backs. They go. They have a bad attitude. And for me, I keep on saying we can't work with those kind of people. You know, nothing would stop us from growing sales to where we want to be if this one person leaves. True, it might be taking a beating. And that's why it's so difficult sometimes to go and just say at the board meeting or management meeting, this person antagonizes everybody. Nobody wants to work with them, but they are the drivers of the business. Then we say, okay, fine. Wataenda tu siku ile watataka kwenda. No, let's call out bad behavior of what it is. Anybody who experiences that? So for you just now to see exactly what we are talking about, high performance. High potential, sorry. Anybody? an experience of whatever, those people, or even you know them in other organizations, or maybe you might even be one of them here. Anyone? Any one of us who antagonizes everyone in your department, but you are so good at your work. You're a complete finisher. This, you just roll with it and that's it. Fanyeni vile mtataka. Your attitude is very important.
I can contribute to that in one respect.
Yeah.
That we just came out of a good seminar, workshop, webinar on blue ocean.
Yeah.
Now the blue ocean strategies are high potentials, okay? Because they actually allow you to start seeing things, but we kill them, you know, in the organization, and they leave. And why do they leave? It's because of these guys, like in the sales department, say you have people in sales and marketing, like this continuous antagonism between sales and marketing and finance, because finance, they want to keep all the money and not buy anything. And then marketers are the spenders. So they come from two different scopes. Now, when you have a CEO who leans towards the people who bring in the money, you are just generally finished, because these guys develop an attitude. They walk all over the place, they come wherever they want, and when you ask them, they simply tell you that I brought 11 million. What were you doing sitting behind a chair there with an expensive phone that I bought last month, you know, with what I brought in? So so we have a lot of some of these issues happening, and we kill the high potentials who are quietly there. They slowly leave and then make other organizations thrive. So I was just contributing a point there that there is a way to contain this. I don't know how, but there is a way to contain high potentials. Champions in the organizations may be the unsung heroes, but they are not talking. How do we manage the process from these demigods, you know, these people who make you worship them because they are bringing in the money. There's that aspect.
Yeah, it starts from us, our culture, the kind of culture that we have created. Everybody is important. You know, the diversity and inclusion policies are not just stuck on the wall, but they are actually lived, and we're able to do that. And it's a very delicate balance, I must say. I mean, we can't have the solutions, but again, those having a very people-centric approach to how we do things and an environment, then where everybody feels, yes, we are respected, we are honored, we are valued, our hard work is recognized. It calls for, it's almost impossible. Nobody has been able to achieve it. And when we're able to achieve it, then I don't know what's going to happen. Because when we think that we are doing so well, someone will just throw another curveball and we say, do you live and that is a problem for you? And it's a problem for them. So it's we can talk about people's expectations, entitlements. I am here, and you need to treat me. I decided to sign up with you. So you can't tell me you're giving me all these benefits. I signed up because the benefits were here. So why aren't you not actualizing them and stuff like that? So it's too delicate. It's too murky. Let's do the best that we can. Let's look into those things that are not working and say, how can we be able to bring those two people together? I really recommend anybody to go for the blue ocean strategy. It's a real, it's an eye opener in terms of what teams are able to do and how to gel in teams. So thanks for that contribution. So reasons decide which workers can be terminated, cope with the effects of voluntary separation programs, coping with effects of downsizing. This has happened a lot in the recent past. Reduce headcount to essential, strategically important jobs only. We have seen increased productivity with lean teams going on, increase the talent pool to promotable employees. Really looking at that and seeing who's really ready for those kind of things. Any question? Before I quickly move in, I know our time is really going. I'll be very fast. The process of succession planning, I will not belabor again, looking holistically at the whole organization, looking what it's bringing in for us, the importance of it, the bigger vision, the strategy, the C-suite is setting the tempo in the organization, making sure that they're walking the talk. And remember, if you're not coaching in your organization, coaching different, giving people the opportunity to explore their potential. Instead of telling them what to do, let them be able to come up with their own solutions and their own answers. So that's very important. So what are some of the principles of succession planning? Where does it really emanate from? And what platform should you be sitting on for you to be able to make sure that your policy, you've gone in and you're told, okay, fine, tell us what you're going to do. So please borrow some of these things to be able to come up with your policy and be able to whatever. Leaders really do. So some of them, they'll be 9. I'll read them very quickly without having to explain them because it's things that we have actually discussed. So the first one, leaders really do matter in managing, driving accountable results and culture. HR again, an enabler, a strong business partner in that space, and you are able to voice it out. Go in, look for best practices and be able to do that. Yeah. Top performance over high potentials, you see, that is what and how both of them count. Performance is what really counts. Talent is an enterprise resource willing to share talent makes the system work. And then the fifth one, a broad set of experience and assignments is the best classroom, yet a balanced approach is still necessary for development, where we say, where do you see what's your joy, what's your passion, and things like that. You know, you can have the principles, like we have the principles of HR, but you must really enjoy working with people because people you will be the center of everything. You love listening, you're a good listener. So it just takes extra skills for you to be able to, you know the principles, but you need extra competencies and extra skills. Your competencies pillars in your organization for you to be able to do that. So we always say, I'd rather have a good fit, someone with a good attitude, I'll be able to train. It is the responsibility of today's top 100 to leave a legacy for a future talent. Are you doing that? Current leaders must teach, mentor, coach, and provide a role model to others on what it takes to succeed. Today's top management leaders aren't necessarily tomorrow's. Even the best leaders can fall way behind or derail. I mean, we look at organizations which are led by young people in terms of age. They are 30s, they're in their late 20s, and they're leading and they're doing a good job. And they're leading people of advanced in years, 50 years, 60 years, and they're really taking up the mantle and running with it. And finally, invest in the best and focus on the rest. Invest in the best and focus on the rest, meaning that we're still not leaving them out. We are saying, in this talent pool, we are really focusing whatever. But even on you guys, we're still doing what needs to be done so that we are continuously moving in the same direction. Yeah. So tasks in succession planning. So these are some of the things that you will need to do. This is really what forms your framework. Develop retention plan, organizational assessment surveys, and focus groups, like what we said, preliminary data analysis determined by metrics, organizational design and reengineering, very important, recruitment strategies and training, corporate image enhancement. Any question coming from there? Any question before I move on? Any questions? No, very good. So you'll be able to develop a pilot, entrance and post-exit surveys, conduct competency gaps analysis. I hope you're doing that from time to time. Performance management advice and expertise. And just to go back here, conduct competency gaps analysis. It helps you build your competencies pillars for every position in the organization. What competencies do you need for managerial positions? What competencies do you need for technical positions? And then you're able to build them slowly by slowly when you look at your business and how it is evolving. Design of training and development strategies, and review positions, descriptions, functional statements, and crediting plans. And finally, leadership development. We say that we are looking at succession planning holistically from your critical positions and just making sure that really your leadership positions are really mapped out and there's no gap. So the right candidates that should be chosen for developing into a leader should have certain traits. The right candidate should have a mix of 3 important traits for leadership development. These are variety of experiences, challenging assignments, ability, and willingness to learn. So these 3 are critical positions, critical development traits that you really need to look into. Hence, leadership development equals to variety of experiencing, challenging assignments, and ability and willingness to learn. Because you can bring someone and they're not willing to learn. Like what someone else told us earlier on is that I don't want to lead a team. I am happy where I am. This is what I really want to focus on. So we should always ask people when we are promoting them, if they're going to be leading a team, are you interested in team leadership? How would you do it? And you might just find out people and say, no, I'm not willing to lead a team. I just want more work in terms of my technical capabilities. That's what I want. And let's make sure that we are preparing people for success. Because we might give people someone to lead a team and they are really not ready for it. Any question there? Question? No? Okay. So I'll go to the last slides. The key elements to succession planning: develop and monitoring review, identifying of key talents starts sounding like what we've just said in the previous, generation of development plans, assessment of key talent. So that is what we do, assessment of key talents, identify the positions, identifying of key talents. Is that what we need to do? Is the manager would prepare a short list of the most potential candidates and come and start discussing with you. Assessment of key talents for each position, the radar screen, primary development, and how do we really make sure that the HR is actually involved in this so that it's a transparent process. You're giving your technical input from manpower planning, performance management, everything that really encompasses the learning and development, the budgets that you're able to do that. Yeah. Okay. Generation of development plans, how is that going to be? Who's going to be involved in developing that? Will you have consultants or trainers coming from outside to facilitate this? Will you develop coaches internally in the organization? Under whose guidance, how are you going to assess that so that there's continuity? Remember where I said, oh, we've been put in the talent pool. We're all very excited. We've been called for a 1 week training and that, and then it's just fizzles out. It's really continuous. Ready now, ready in 2 years, ready in 5 years, ready in 10 years. Let's look at the bigger picture and be able to articulate those processes for us to really be successful. Even when it's audited and you are mapping out your risks, then you know that it is actually well done. And developing and monitoring and review, extremely important. Any question? That's the last of our slide. Okay. Thank you. So let's open up to questions and answers. Was it useful? Was it interesting? What have you learned? What are you going to take away from here? Questions, answers? Yeah, Faith will share the presentation. Thank you. Questions? Was it useful as we go to module 2 and module 3, building up? Thank you. Very innovative. Thank you. Catherine?
Yeah, I just want to comment. Thank you very much. You always are very insightful person for what you contribute. I really think if Dan is here and he's hearing SCHRP, this needs 5 CPD points. You know, by the time you come to these last points like leadership development, the key elements and tasks, you know, that's the real gist of it. But by that time we need breakfast, you know, because we hadn't taken breakfast. But what you are saying is instead of 3 CPD points, can we have 5 CPD points so that it is broken? Because this is the real stuff. You know, this is what is the toughest part of a HR's job. And it has also brought me to a point where I now think, even as a HRBP, there are things that can be done in-house and things that can just never be done in-house. And that's where we are heading, so that we start looking at issues like counseling, where now there are HRs who develop in counseling people, but they have to be outside, so that now organizations make HRs be more effective by not bringing them down, involving them with people that we know they can never develop, because sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. And so you are not able to even work with these high potentials, because they have a attitude, you know, about you being, you know, people still traditionally in Africa associate HRs with the 430 brown envelopes, and it's very difficult to help such people. So I think we need to look at it from also the usefulness of these courses. I really think ACHRP is getting it, but maybe the aspect of the very useful ones, which can be broken down into lesser time, but more informative for people to be able to implement. Because we've already, you know, this is too deep, too much for some people who maybe don't even have this. How do they introduce it? The how is so very important, you know, for going forward, so that we can teach this in 5 classes rather than 3 condensed.
Okay.
That's what I can contribute. But thank you very much. It's been very, very insightful and very, very informative. And thanks to the ACHRP for arranging this.
Thank you, Catherine, for those pointers. Dan is on the line. We've taken down those ones, and we do appreciate that. Depending on where you are in your career and your experience, some things are no-brainer, you know. But when you are young and you're trying to grow your career, these things might sound like rocket science, and that's why I keep on saying, let's bring our experiences here, because experience people never forget, so that it doesn't sound too theoretical, and we're able to take points. We're able to take. So let's continue sharing. Let's also appreciate that everybody is at different levels in their careers, but we are all here to make sure that we grow and we support each other. So thank you for that. Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Hello. Yes, hello.
Hi, Rhoda.
Can I say something? Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Now, the other challenge in some of the organization is the interference by the directors. So you find that the directors are really involving themselves in the management part of it. Like you cannot make any decision on management level without them being involved. Otherwise, they will revoke it. And sometimes it's like some of us are just like flower girls in some of these organizations, because you find that the directors are the ones who determine who to be hired, who to be fired, who to be disciplined, who to be done this. So sometimes it's quite demoralizing. And in such a scenario, you find that even having the succession plan like in place, like the manual of it's a bit difficult. But then we just struggle around the system.
Yeah, true. Unfortunately, different organizations are run differently, you know, and
what do we do with those experiences, Rhoda? That's what I keep on saying. Sometimes we become so resilient because these experiences, you'll never go to Tuskys or Naivas or Carrefour and say, experience of working with a bad boss. You get what I mean? Experience of working in an organization that has no policies and procedures. And it really hones your experiences. And when you go to a place where all this is happening, it becomes a breath of fresh air. So what do you learn out of that in terms of a bad employer, because they are there, no doubt about it, a lot of influences, is that those organizations lose key talent. And there'll always be high attrition rate until they look and say, well, what's happening here? And these organizations don't belong to me and you. We all hired there to do a job. So when we are there, let's try and do the best, and let's try and influence positively when we are there. And I keep on saying, anyway, you are not a tree. We can always move, isn't it? And we move with those experiences to make us better. So I totally empathize. I totally understand that it's never going to be perfect, but some interferences are more than we can handle. They can discourage us, but that doesn't mean that we don't take great lessons from there and great learnings as well. Yeah, so a good point, but it's very, and I can see someone saying, yeah, I agree about the flower girl notion, especially in parastatus. How do we change that mentality for us to really become professionals and to be known that they're there? I keep on saying, if I was given an opportunity to work for a certain organization, would I want to join them? And that's what every CEO should be able to ask. And with their team is that if we put a job outside there, and because jobs are few and between, and let's say everything we were able to get jobs at like this, would some organizations have anybody to work for? Honestly, they would struggle because of the brand image that they have set for themselves. So always think that if it was a perfect world, would you get anybody to move your business? And it's an important business. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. I like that. Yeah, totally can relate. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, Catherine.
Yeah.
My issues on the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Whereby most directors would say they want to work with the 20% who are more productive so they can push growth in the organization. So in relation to succession planning, I'm thinking you decide to work with the 20%. So what about the rest? What about the rest? Because we need to actually improve everybody.
Yeah. Remember where one of the slides I said that focus on everyone? We must focus on everybody in the organization. We can't just say, and indeed 20% of the people output is done by 20%. Other 80% tend to be joyriders. But we must look into those joyriders and find out what are they joyriders? What can they bring? And that is why we say focus on them. Don't leave them out. Because again, if we leave them out, they just say, well, we are not even expected to do too much. And anyway, at the end of the month, I will earn. So everybody must pull their weight. And pulling their weight, it means that we are looking at performance management from the time you join the organization to the time you leave the organization. And I will be so high on checking your performance, you have no escape but to jump onto the bandwagon of 80 or 20%. And sooner than later, we flip the pyramid. We have 80% high performers and 20% we have to start now looking at them. So let's try and shift from 20-80 to 80-20. It's a gradual shift. It doesn't happen overnight, but we must focus on everybody. Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Since flower girls and page boys are many, who is the bride? They will influence the groom. Find them. It's a political arena. I agree. Oh, that's a nice one. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine, for really putting it, the groom and the bride, yeah, we must look for them. Anybody else before I give it to Dan? Anybody else? So thank you very much. I appreciate your participation. I always learn a lot. We all learn from each other. We hope to see you next Saturday at 8:30 as we continue with Module 2. So come with a mind to learn, a mind to share, a mind to get better at succession planning. And I hope this week you can go back to your organizations and start looking at some of the things that we've discussed in this webinar, and come and tell us whether you've been able to implement them or just even start the discussion on an informal level, or you are brave enough to come and say, this meeting for SMT next week, I think I can introduce risk and how succession planning is going to be extremely, how it's going to help the organization. So I wish you a good time the rest of the weekend. Do the things that you really want to, want to engage with a lot of fun, and also taking care of yourself. So see you next time, and I wish you God's blessing. Thank you very much. Yeah. Over to you, Dan. Thank you. Dan, are you there?
Oh, sorry. I'm saying thank you, Catherine. And thank you for such a wonderful presentation today. And you've done a very wonderful job in dissecting the topic succession planning, module 1. I'm looking forward to having everyone who was present attending the next session on 24th October, that is on Saturday. Then module 3, the final bit of this succession planning, will be on 31st October. I agree with Catherine Gambi when she says that this succession planning topic is a wide topic that cannot be done in 30 minutes or 2 hours. It has to be dissected into several modules for us to get into the real succession planning business. Now, having said that, let me point out one or two things. First, if you've participated in our training today and you would wish to get your certificate, kindly do so by logging onto our website, achrp.biz. I've shared that website via chat there, achrp.biz. You'll be able to sign in into your account and take this particular course. And we've really improved our system. And I would allow me just a minute to share what we have. This particular training, you can, I hope you can be able to see what I've shared there. This is application for award of online CPD points. This course is succession planning. On item number 4, you can be able to see that we have the dates when the training will be held. For module 1, 17th, module 2, 24th, that is on item number 4. Module 3 to happen on 31st October. And this whole concept is approved for 3 CPD points. You look at the part number, the bottom part indicated for official use only, where there is the stamp there. So the whole 3 modules have been approved for 3 points. So it is 1 point per module. And by the end of the day, we are required to deliver to IHRM those who have participated in a particular module so that they are awarded that 1 CPD point for this particular module. So I'll stop sharing that and share something else. Now I want you to look at look at that. That is our Telegram channel. where we have over 3,000. I know you can be able to view the figure there. 3,722 members who continuously share best practices, best ideas, ask one another questions throughout the day regarding what is happening in the HR field. So if you're not on Telegram, kindly side chat me, then I'll share with you, although I had shared the link on the chat box, but in case you didn't see that, do side chat, then I'll also add you to that group. The final aspect would be on how our website works, and that will be that is what I'm sharing there. Sorry. When you go to achrp.biz, it takes you to the login page, and when you put your email address, for example, I've put mine, that is what will happen. You'll be able to view or to have you'll be able to have the website appearing to you like that. Interestingly, you're able to see the number of, you're able to select the year your training or when the training took place. So in 2020, I've undertaken 12 CPD courses in ACHRP. You can be able to see the number of CPD points that you have acquired. Remember, there is that form we take to IHRM when we are doing our membership. So if you click download form, this is CPD program form, it will bring, it's going to give you something that I'll show you, the form, when ikiwa duly, I don't know, can you see that form? Someone?
No, we can't. Or rather, no, I can't.
Okay. Okay, all right. Now I've seen no, so you can see it now?
Mm-hmm. Now we can see it here.
So instead of completing the form, yes, instead of completing the form manually, we've already done that aspect for you. You click download the CPD activity form. You see mine is completely filled with all the courses I've undertaken at the date when I have printed this form. Today is October 17, 2020. So the only thing I will be required to do is to sign on that form. And so we continuously do some improvements to ensure that the system is beneficial to you, it saves you time and a lot of other things. Then now on the last column, I'm looking at the top of my e-learning portal. There is the CPD activities record. Now instead of printing your certificates one after another, then scanning them, which will incur you more costs and more time, if you click on download record, this is what you'll get. Let me share that. You'll be able to get all your certificates together, zikiwa zimefuatanishwa namna hiyo. They are scanned and merged for you. So I guess that will save you time. It saves you time to do that aspect for yourself. Now, one last thing, if you look at that certificate, there is the certificate ID with a code number there. So if somebody wanted to verify whether the certificate belongs to you, and for those who've been with us for many years, you realize that we changed the format of the certificate. So this is a certificate of achievement. Now, so we introduced the certificate ID so that if somebody really wants to see whether you participated in this particular training, they'll be able to let's see, I've logged out. There is on the homepage of our website, there is the verify certificate menu. You click on that. It will give you an interface like this. Then if I copy the number or the certificate ID and submit, it clearly shows for whom or to whom that certificate was issued. You see, it shows this certificate. This is a valid certificate issued then, course title Blue Ocean, issued on October 3rd, issuer Academy of Certified Human Resource Professionals. Then, so I've gone back to the website there. When you log in, it takes you directly to the Take Courses menu. And the Select Course button is on the first column. So when you select, say like if I'm to take these 3 courses, see what I'm doing? I'm checking the box on the first column. I've checked those. And so it shows or indicates rather the amount payable. I'll pay to the M-Pesa pay bill number 85313. The account number is my ID number. Then something else here, you can also download your invoice. After you have selected the course, you can download the invoice. Let me, for instance, download this invoice. The invoice I have downloaded will be in this format. Just see. And for your invoice to appear nicely manifested, it would be ideal for you to complete your profile details so that it can show your name plus your address. So this is for then. I've selected the 3 courses. It shows the amount payable, 3,000. The invoice is already stamped and signed. So no need to call me asking for the invoice. The invoice is already there. Then I've gone back to the website. So after showing the amount payable, so I've already paid this. So I would put my M-Pesa code there. So yeah, but don't put an imaginary code. So I'm the only one who can be able to do that. So I've put my M-Pesa. Yeah. So if you click enroll, it would show you a message at the top. Your enrollment was successful upon confirmation of the transaction ID. That's why I've said ensure the code you've put is genuine. Otherwise, you might find your account getting deleted. Now, succession planning. So immediately you've done the submission, you would find that it is showing you pending for materials, pending for receipt, and pending for certificates. So now, you can see that. Can you see that?
Yes. Yes, you can. Rather, I can.
Yeah, I want to approve for then. It is a very simple process. I would go to pending approvals there, and I would find that Dan has taken this particular course, and say I would approve for all of them. I have approved for courses. And when Dan goes back to his account, my courses, he would find, excuse, somebody is knocking. Okay. So when I go back to my account, those courses who are showing pending, they are now active. I can be able to view the material for succession planning module 1. by clicking view under the materials column. That's what I'm doing right now. Let's see what will happen. And whenever you have enrolled for a training, the Zoom link is always on the left panel. You can see that. It shows you the topic, succession planning, trainer Catherine Wamwangi. The webinar link was there. The webinar ID is set. The webinar password is also there. The webinar date is also set. The webinar time is also set there. For those who are keenly following today's training, this is the presentation which Catherine Wamwangi was using. So for those who asked whether we shall share the presentation is already there for you in your portal. And you click next page to continue viewing. You can do that. You can do that. There are 45 pages in that presentation. And then immediately after this conversation, the YouTube, the video for this particular training will be uploaded on your portal, such that if you click, it is already there. You can see that. Succession planning, module 1. This was our training today. Let's see. On your portal, such that if you click, it is already there. You can see that. So there, it is current. It is current. This was our training today. You see? Put it on slideshow.
Great. You can see it. Can you see it? Okay, so there we go. Succession planning.
That is Catherine Wamwangi as she was doing her presentation.
Where are you? And just think through.
So
at your current
maybe
workplace, whether you're in consultancy, whether you're in business, if you are to leave, is there a plan for your position?
So there we are. Thank you for your time and participating in this. You've been able to see, you can find all the materials that you require on your portal. We leave no coin unspent to try to bring our the services closer to you in a format that is easy to follow and easy to understand, easy to enjoy. You must have seen that again on that portal, we've put it this way. We've minimized so many menus. There are no, we don't want you to find a lot of pages so that you don't become bored. You only have the take courses, and this is the page you get to when you log in. Then you have the my courses pages. It is on my courses pages where you are able to view the materials. You're able to print your receipt. And at at 4 p.m. today, after every training, the certificate link will be, you'll be able to download your certificate because it will be live also. You can edit your profile so that your invoice details, the only thing you cannot be able to edit is your name. But if you request via text, I'll be able to edit it for you. Last year we had some nasty experiences whereby somebody could edit the name, anaweka ya friends, anawatolea certificate, because the certificate takes the name in your profile. Then you can also be able to, on edit profile, remember, so that your IHRM form, the CPD program form, can pick correct details, ensure you enter your IHRM number and select your membership, your IHRM membership, whether you are a full member or an associate member. You can change your password if it is necessary, and always ensure you have kept it somewhere safe. And finally, you can be able to log out of your system. That's what I've done. I've logged out of our system. Remember, if you ever get a problem, you've forgotten your password, you can always reach me on 0722 300 245. I've shared that on this. Hey, I've put the wrong number there. 0722, not 77. 300 245. Very good. That is the problem of multitasking. Somebody told me men cannot multitask. They cannot cross the road and chew gum at the same time. Don't know how true that is. But there is my number. So for those who will be attending our further new HR symposium, it is still on at Lake Naivasha Resort. Lake Naivasha Resort is a 5-star hotel, and they are maintaining the highest standards as directed by the Ministry of Health during this COVID-19 season. The fee there is 33,000 exclusive of VAT. We have lined up some very serious, but I see what you've said. We've lined up some very serious trainers, and will also be a very good opportunity for you to interact with the other HR professionals in this country. I know this year there has been no room for going out for many of us. So let's take that opportunity. That will be on 10th to 12th November this year. NITA is already approving that training for those who are applying for that. And I know most of us here work in NITA, work in organizations that are NITA levy contributors. Take advantage of the reimbursements that your organization qualify for. That at least trying to ask for approval for that particular training. Again, now still on the NITA issue, NITA also approves for these simple trainings, not simple, the online courses. They also approve for that. What they would want you to share with them is the link. You see, the link, the Zoom link. And before I forget, because sababu that would have been very serious, a lot of people ask me, where is the course content? This is where you get the course content from. Again, you log into your account, and logging into your account takes less than a second. Look at that. That is unless you've forgotten your password. If you've not, there you are. If you click on any course, like we are on Succession Planning Module 1, on the column indicating course title, click on the course itself. You'll find a document like that. Can you see that? Someone tell me whether you can see that.
Yes, we can see.
Asante. Now, that is the course content. That is what NITA requires when you apply for NITA reimbursement. Now, we've put this system in a way that you can download that course content. You can see the button for download, or you can directly print. And there is also an arrow there. You can rotate that course content. But why would you want to do that? So don't. So just click on that, and click on that. You can also check if you'll be attending the 4th annual HR symposium, click on that. You'll be able to find a very interesting document there. That is your invitation letter. Print that document. It is already signed. Then self-address that letter to, when I say self-address is enough. Self-address that, so you put your name there, your address. That's the only thing you will do. The letter is signed, so print it in color. The nomination form, which would require you to send to ACHLP, to admin@achlp.biz is there. Then your invoice is also there. That is if you don't want to print your invoice the way I have shown you. Because the easiest way would have been, you select the course, the annual HR symposium, it will show the amount payable, then click download invoice. But if you don't want to do that, just click on the course title, click on the course title itself, then print this whole document. You're able to find the nomination form, the invoice is there, the course outline, which Nita again would require, is attached. The timetable, the training program is there. The account number is also indicated there. IHLM has approved this program for 6 CPD points. This is the letter from the Hotel Ministry of Health indicating that Lake Naivasha Resort has been cleared, that they are able to observe high quality and healthy standards. As I said during this season, our NITA certificate is there. You would require this so that you're able to lift our NITA registration number. Somebody would be interested to ask, can I get your, can we get your PIN certificate or PIN number? The PIN number is there. And our tax compliance certificate is there. We pay our taxes when they are due. So now, with that information, you are able to use this. You are able to use this, our resources. You are able to use our website. And remember, if you find any difficulties, like I forgot my password, kindly let me know. Something else you might find very interesting is if you enrolled for any particular course after the release date. The release date is when the course first happened. Then you would find it is issuing you a certificate dated when you have enrolled for the course. If you would want us to rectify that so that it can pick the CPD points, again, check under my courses, see that the release date or the date enrolled should not be after the release date. If you have any course like that, let me know. I'll be able to as the admin, I would be able to edit that for you. Those of us present who can train, again, get in touch with me. Get in touch with me, and we'll give you an opportunity to showcase what you know. Those who are looking for work, we run one of the largest job portals. Just look at that. On Telegram, this is known as Job Connect. At the Job Connect, we post jobs as they come. Every day, we post a lot of jobs there, and you never know where you will get your opportunity. Finally, and I'll not talk after that now. Whenever I get a request to refer a candidate, always I go to our database of those who actively participate in our events. That's why I pick a name. Now, I want to open the floor now for someone to say something. And I want to start with Tutamyonki.